When I think of cozy games, I think of snuggling up in my lounge room next to a warm fireplace, playing one of my favorite games that really gives me that warm, satisfying feeling. Oh, not Scythe. Sorry. I guess we should get started on my top 5 favorite cozy board games that I've just acquired into my collection. G'day everybody, it's Danny here from Board Game Sanctuary. I'm an avid modern board game hobbyist from Australia who loves sharing a passion for this hobby with my friends, my family, and you, the viewers. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you 5 new games that I acquired into my collection. These are games I'd play on a coffee table, after a nice meal with a glass of wine on a Saturday night, or even just on a weeknight for that matters. So when I go on a search for games that I like, I tend to have a little short list of games that I'm on the lookout for. These might be games that have an interesting theme, a unique mechanic, or even it could just be a game that simply just gives me the right sort of feeling. A feeling that this would be a game I'd love to share with some new gamers, or this be a feeling that I'd love to share, with the hubby. There's something about a game that needs to stand out to me before I kind of consider it for my collection. And often there's games that kind of jump out where it's like I hit the buy button instantly because it's something that I know that I will enjoy even on my own as an avid solo gamer. Downtown Farmers Market. This is a game that looks like I could literally walk into my local supermarket or grocery store and see this on the shelf and think that it was actually probably a real product. I absolutely love the graphic design, the simplicity of the bold outlining, and the colorful nature of all the products that are featured on the front of the box really entices me to want to unlock this game and play it. Now, what do I love about this game? This game has this right level of calculated nature to it. So at the beginning of the game, each player is going to get 8 of these objective tiles. They're kind of like order tiles. 4 of these are going to be placed at the top, and 4 of these are going to be placed on the side. And you're going to have this empty grid area out in front of you. Throughout the game, players are going to be drafting these green tiles, which they're going to be placing between 2 intersecting order tiles. And this tile has to try and satisfy those 2 orders both horizontally and vertically. And once you place a tile there, it cannot be moved for the rest of the game. And you might be thinking, oh, that's pretty easy. But what's quite challenging is that there are going to be 3 other objectives at the top and 3 other objectives on the side, plus this whole objective has to be satisfied in this entire row of green tiles you're going to be placing out, as well as in the column. So there's an array of different thinky choices that you're going to be making, which I really love about this game. The objectives are pretty simple. They're things like having the most milk in the column or row, or the most number of carrot icons, or egg icons, or it could be having no milk, no bread, or eggs in a particular row or column. The fact that you're trying to satisfy those parameters on your grid with such a limited number of options definitely has a very Calico-like feel to the game, where you're struggling to think, wow, if I place this here now, will I get the right tile to be able to satisfy the rest of this row's objective or column? Oh, what? You guys are still here? Oh, thanks so much for sticking around. How about you pull the chair up and I'll show you the next cool board game that I've got on offer. Well, you did say pull up a chair. The next game I want to share is by an acclaimed Australian game designer, and he's one that I definitely admire. And it is a game called My Shelfie. In My Shelfie, it's going to really tap into that memory of playing Connect 4, but with a few little twists. It's basically a set collection game where you're going to be using one of these cool contraptions. You'll be drawing tiles from a game board and then placing those tiles by dropping them into these different columns. And what you're essentially trying to do in this game is you're trying to fulfill various objectives. either on your card where you want certain colored or item types to be positioned in certain places to score points, or you're trying to satisfy the main public objectives that everyone's competing for. If you can do that the best and score the most points, then you're probably going to end up with the best looking Shelfie out of the bunch, or really the Shelfie that probably satisfies those conditions the most. What I love about my Shelfie is the tactile nature of the game. Yes, some people might say this is gimmicky, but I can play this game with my family after dinner and have everyone laughing and engaged at the table and looking at all the cool, funky, weird shelves that we're putting together. Not only that, we can also talk about some of the weird shelves that are in real life behind me. Do you like the sound of nature? That's the sound of a magpie flying over. If you're accustomed to Australian birds, you'll know that they're pretty interesting creatures. So Savanaki Forest is a pretty heartwarming game because I love its autumn feel. This is a game where you're going to be drafting cards and then placing them out in your 4x4 play area to try and build paths. Now there's a little bit of a catch here. Each card that you take comes with an associated power, which is represented by a game board. That looks a little bit like this. There'll be 4 cards that are placed underneath, including 1 animal card which will be placed under the rabbit space. Whichever card you take, that card is going to be unavailable to the other players for the rest of the round, as well as that ability that corresponds to that card's very position on this area. So if I were to take the card underneath the rooster gives me the power to be the first player at the beginning of the next round. It also allows me to take this card and place it out onto my player area. If I was to be the player that takes the animal underneath the rabbit card, which is the only place you can get animals from, then this card becomes yours and no other players will be able to get animals for the rest of this round. The other 2 animals, the kind of goat and the armadillo, provide some extra flexibility to how you store your food and the value of the food itself. With the water, by placing little water droplets onto your animal cards, and each animal has 4 different food requirements, each with a different value. Sometimes they're 1, sometimes they're 0, sometimes they're 2. But if you add a water droplet on top of that particular resource, the value of that food for scoring becomes increased by 1. So this egg has a value of 1. If I put a water droplet on it, it now has a value of 2 for every egg that's in that path in my forest. That's kind of cool because if you've built a path where you know that there's more strawberries or more worms, you're going to want to put more water droplets on those 2 resources to maximize the amount of points that you get. The other thing is, if you take a card from the armadillo column, you get kind of these cool little rock structures. And these rock structures increases your animal's ability to store food when it comes to scoring at the end of the game. At the moment, this little hedgehog has a store value of 0, so it doesn't matter what the value of all the other food is in its path. If it can't store any food, it's not going to give you any points. So by placing these little rock structures onto your animal cards increases the storage capacity for that animal as you head into winter. I love this game because not only is the choices quite simple, but where you place these animals and how you connect the paths and increase the values of all your food ingredients means that the scoring that you're going to engage with at the end is going to come down to all the good choices you made throughout the game. And even if you make a bad choice in this game doesn't penalize you too heavily. A good board game to warm me up. Often on a Sunday afternoon, I enjoy going around my house and watering my plants, and sometimes watering my board game strategy, as long as it's not watered down, that is. There is a game that is in my collection that I think is one of the coziest games of all. It has that nice, gratifying feeling of collecting resources, picking cards, and building a nice, simple tableau. It's one of those games where you can kind of have afternoon tea with some scones and jam, as well as have your best friends over and just really enjoy a very casual, cozy, relaxing game. And the game is Planted! Surprise, surprise! It's full of green things, just like the name of this channel, I think. One thing I really like about Planted is the fact that you can kind of scope out what everyone else is doing. You've got this beautiful hand of cards, we've got resources, tool cards, and you're really just kind of thinking, how am I going to get the resources that I need to help feed the plants so they can grow optimally in your tableau, which is how you score a lot of the majority of your points. And then which cards should I pass on to my opponent so that they might have a really tough time growing their plants. So there is a kind of a to and fro to this game that I really enjoy. If I know that the person next to me needs a plant that has extra sunlight or extra water, then I'm probably not going to try and pass those resource cards onto them. Or maybe there's a tool that helps them build out their strategy a little bit better than mine. I might just hold on to that card for another round. Who knows? I just love the drafting decisions and the impact that has on the other players in the game. Village Rails is a game that gives me that great warm feeling, and I love how it kind of evokes the British or Scottish countryside on this cover with the sheep and the rolling green hills. As an avid Australian, you know, I sometimes think, ooh, what cool dusty outback version of this could I possibly see them making? Players are going to be planning trips and then building train lines that kind of connect to the border of their player area. And by finishing a line, players are going to be able to score different train tracks based on the parameters that they've set out on their border. What's really cool about this game is that you can kind of earn money as you play terminus cards, and that money is going to fuel what options you have on the next turn. If you overspend your money, you're going to find that it's going to be really hard to get those trips that you really want or particular track pieces that you need, but there's a nice kind of ebb and flow in this game where you really want to try and optimize everything that you do. You're really trying to fit all the track pieces together so that not only when tracks cross vertically or horizontally across each other, you want to make sure that everything works out perfectly, nicely, and neatly. And nothing ever does. There's a nice meandering pace to Village Rails, yet such a crunchy and thinky puzzle to behold. So which of those cool cozy games really tantalized your senses? I hope you found something interesting in this video, and if you did, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing. And if you really like this easy breezy style of content that I'm making, then please head over to my Patreon page and have your say over there. I'd really appreciate all of the support. I am taking a new direction with a lot of my videos. I am going to be showcasing a lot of my collection in future videos, as well as new games that I've acquired. So if you like that sort of stuff and want to know a little bit more about me as a board gamer, I'm definitely going to be sharing that a little bit more openly in future videos, and I've got a huge range of different topic videos to share with you. Now, thanks once again for joining me. This is Danny signing out. I hope your next game is an amazing one. Goodbye. Now, where did I leave my cup of tea?